Hello, today we're gonna learn movement in Tekken on the hitbox. So let's get started. First of all, which button does what? This is left, this is down, this is right, and this is up. If you want to press down back or down forward, it's simple. Just press both at the same time and you'll get the diagonal inputs. Alright. So, what happens when you press left and right at the same time, which is impossible on a controller or a stick? Well, what happens is nothing. You get a neutral input. That is so that you can't block while walking forward. But this restriction can actually be used to our advantage, which I will cover in a second. And if you press down and up, you get up. Okay, so let's get started. You can walk forwards, you can walk back. Yes, I said that backwards, but you get the idea. You can step either way, and you can side walk either way. Simple enough. A good thing about the hitbox is you can get a neutral input after pressing a button much quicker than on a stick. Stick has space to travel. You have to move your wrist, and the time the stick comes back, it takes a fraction of a second longer than it does for a button to just pop back up. Which means stepping is a bit easier. But let's get into the meat of it. Most important thing you want to learn is how to dash. You can backdash, you can forward dash. And there are two ways to input that. The first one, simple, just double tap, right? Nothing crazy here. And now we get into why the pressing both buttons and getting neutral can be used to our advantage. Because if you press back and you tap forward, you get a dash. And you can actually get a free frame dash, which is the fastest you can input a dash. 1 frame back, 1 frame neutral, 1 frame back, which gives you a faster dash. Obviously, it works with the forward dash as well. Forward, tap back, and you get a dash. Alright. You can't use this you can't use that to step or sidewalk faster, because you don't actually get a neutral. Alright. Tekken's movement is the most important thing in the game. Alright? Because it is so expressive. And one of the reasons it's so expressive and so important is because you can cancel any movement into another movement. Which is how you get stuff like this, right? You can move around the place, right? And it's also relatively safe, because when you press back or when you backdash, as long as you're holding back, you will be blocking. Which is where you can dash forward and block. If you press fast enough, you step and you block. Like such. Alright. So, what you can do using this system of cancelling any movement into any other is things like Korean backdashing, which is very important to learn, a necessary step to learn to get better at the game. And there are two ways to do it that I've found. There is what I call the dirty backdash, which is what I like to do, where you input back, quarter circle forward back, back. Alright? Because you're essentially cancelling it with a crouch. This leaves you blocking low for about 2 frames, which is pretty good, alright? But that's not a true Korean backdash. To do that, you want to press back, down back, back. Alright. I won't lie, that's kinda hard if you just do it like this. But this is where the SOCD, simultaneous opposing cardinal direction, comes into play. Normally Korean backdashing can take years of training for some people, alright? But on a hitbox, it's relatively easy. Here's how you can do it. You hold back and you tap down, release for neutral, while still holding back, then tap forward, release for neutral, and then down, forward, down, forward, down, forward. And you get the perfect Korean backdash. You'll have to practice to make this more natural and faster, but yeah, this is the best way to backdash. It's not the way I do it most of the time. I use the dirty backdash more, but you should practice it, and so should I. And there's actually an even faster way to do it, where you take your right hand and you bring it here, so you can press the forward input with this hand, where you will go much faster. And this is actually much more practical than it looks, because you're thinking, oh, I gotta move my whole hand, right? But you can start doing the easy one, or even the dirty one, and while you're doing that, bring your hand across and you can start backdashing. I recommend doing this to create a lot of space when you're already kinda far from your opponent. Let's say you get to this range, it's safe for you to start doing it. That's how I recommend using that. Your opponent will have a hard time following you if you backdash that fast. And yeah, this unfortunately does not work on the other side. You're not going to bring your hand over there to do it. But you can still use the regular SOCD. See, I need to practice it more. But yeah, that's the optimal way to do it. But I just do the dirty backdash, that's me. And I like to do that because I block low for longer, which means I'm doing kind of a fuzzy guard. And I can actually stay ducking for as long as I want. And sometimes I like ducking a bit longer. But that's just me. It's personal preference, but the SOCD input is the optimal way to do it. Next comes step cancelling. Not quite as useful, but still worth noting. This is what it looks like. What you want to do is step, press forward, and step again. And you do that by basically doing a quarter circle forward, which would be this, but the other way around. So you press forward, down, forward, down, right? In one input. You sort of slide between forward and down, and you'll get that. It works with up as well. You might have seen me step using my right thumb, and you can do it either way you want, right? I can't, right? That's how I do it. I like to step with my right thumb and do jump and up forward motions like a hop kick, for example, using my left. So movement with my right, hop kick and jumps with my left. But that's personal preference, that's on you. So, quick thing to note, the dirty backdash doesn't work with characters like Paul, Bryan, Nina, and other characters that have a QCB kind of stance thing, right? I will show you this quickly. Okay, so now that we have Paul, I'll show you what happens if you try to do a dirty backdash. You get this. You get his QCB stance, right? Which you don't want, because you are not blocking if you do that. And if you're backdashing, you're obviously trying to be defensive. But there are ways around it. First of all, just do the SOCD version. Hold back, tap down, down forward. You will get a perfect Korean backdash every time, and you will never get the QCB. But there's also another thing you can do, which is cancel your backdash with a step instead of a crouch. Normally that would be quite hard to do, because pressing down forward, then back and then down without pressing down back and getting back to neutral would be quite hard on a stick, because of that fraction of a second extra that it takes to go back to neutral. But since you have buttons and you have a very easy way to get neutral, you will not have a problem with that. Just make sure you press in neutral and you will step instead. Right? You can also do it by stepping upwards. Unfortunately, that's not quite as good. Right? But it's about the same as if you step to the right anyway. And that works both ways. Back, down, you know. Do it with up, works the same. And SOCD. Okay. Alright, now let's get into wave dashing, which is one of the funnest ways to close the distance between you and your opponent. Characters like Warong, the Mishimas, Armor King, and I think I'm forgetting someone. Yeah, Bob. I have this forward motion. Do forward, neutral, down, down, forward. And you can just repeat that over and over again. Right? Forward, neutral, down, and down forward without releasing down. Then you press up, and you press forward again and do it again. If you accidentally release down before you release forward, and you do a QCF, it still works. So that's not a problem. It takes a bit of practice, you know. You'll have to practice on both sides. I prefer wave dashing on player 2, to be honest. But on player 1, there's a little trick to wave dashing. Once again, you're going to want to take your right hand to press forward. So forward, neutral, down, down, forward with your left hand. And you will wave dash very, very, very fast. I don't know many people that can wave dash that fast. Right? Harry Potter, the Italian player, is not a human being. I don't know how he wave dashes this fast on a pad. Right? He actually wave dashes a bit faster than that, but this man's not human. For everyone else, this is very, very fast. And to be honest, the two-handed method doesn't take a lot of practice. It's one of the first things I learned how to do. So there you have it. Alright, so that was basic to intermediate movement in Tekken. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, goodbye.